The moment the words left her lips, the world tilted. Mark had opened the door expecting awkward small talk, polite smiles, maybe a forced laugh to fill the silence. He had not expected his past to be standing on his porch in the soft glow of a Nashville streetlight. He had not expected the woman in the red coat to lean closer, her voice barely a breath, and whisper the one name he hadn't heard spoken gently in 7 years. "Mark, it's me. Rachel. If this happened to you, if the person who once broke your heart stood inches away after you finally learned to live without them, would you slam the door, or would you let the past step inside?" Mark froze, hands still gripping the brass doorknob. For a second, he thought he was imagining it. His sister had insisted he try online dating again. "You can't raise Tyler alone forever," she'd said. "You deserve something too." So he had agreed to one blind date, one evening carved out of a life that revolved around school lunches, homework battles, and late-night fevers. He hadn't known the woman coming to dinner would be Rachel. The porch light framed her face, softer now, lines of time etched around her eyes. She looked older, more fragile than the memory he had buried. But it was her. The same hazel eyes that used to study him across crowded coffee shops in Denver. The same woman who had left when the pregnancy test turned positive. 7 years earlier, Rachel had chosen freedom over fear, and Mark had chosen responsibility over heartbreak. He remembered the hospital room in Memphis when Tyler was born, the way he'd held his tiny son and promised he would never leave. Rachel had signed the papers quietly, her tears falling on the pen. She had said she wasn't ready. She had said she'd ruin them both. And then she was gone. Now she stood on his porch in Tennessee, trembling. "I didn't know it was you," she whispered again, as if afraid he might vanish. "I swear, I didn't know." Neither had he. The dating profile had shown a different last name. He hadn't looked too closely at the pictures. Maybe he hadn't wanted to. Tyler's laughter drifted faintly from the living room where he was building a Lego spaceship. The sound pierced Mark's chest like a warning. He stepped aside. Inside, the house smelled of spaghetti and garlic bread. Rachel paused just over the threshold, as if entering a sacred place. Her eyes scanned the walls covered in crayon drawings and school awards. There was a framed photo of Mark and Tyler at a Braves game in Atlanta, both grinning under bright stadium lights. "He's beautiful," she murmured, staring at a recent picture taped near the kitchen. Mark swallowed. "He's 7. 7 birthdays without her. 7 Christmas mornings where Tyler had asked why other kids had moms at school plays. Mark had told him the truth in pieces, careful and kind. "Your mom loved you enough to know she wasn't ready." He had said it so many times he almost believed it without bitterness. Rachel's fingers trembled as she reached toward the photo but stopped short. "I think about him every day." The words landed heavy. Mark felt anger rise, hot and familiar. Thinking was easy. Showing up was not. You might think forgiveness is a switch you can flip when someone says they're sorry. But it's not. It's a bruise you press again and again until it doesn't hurt as much. Rachel explained in fragments over dinner. After she left, she had spiraled. She moved to Chicago, then Phoenix, chasing jobs that never stuck. She battled anxiety, then depression. She said she had been drowning in guilt, too ashamed to come back. Therapy had helped. Time had helped. Seeing his profile online had felt like fate playing a cruel joke. "I wasn't strong enough then," she said softly, eyes glistening. "But I'm not that person anymore." Mark studied her. He saw sincerity, but he also saw the years Tyler had lost. He remembered staying up nights pacing the hallway when Tyler cried for a mother he didn't know. He remembered teaching him to tie his shoes, to ride a bike, to pray before bed. He remembered pretending he wasn't exhausted. Rachel asked if she could see him. Mark hesitated. This was not just about him. This was about a little boy who had built his world around the certainty that his father would never leave. "Tyler," Mark called gently. Small footsteps padded down the hallway. Tyler appeared in superhero pajamas, curiosity bright in his eyes. He looked at Rachel the way children look at strangers, open but cautious. "This is Rachel," Mark said, choosing each word like it might break. Rachel knelt to Tyler's height, her voice barely steady. "Hi, buddy." Tyler smiled politely. "Hi." He didn't know. He couldn't know. Rachel's composure cracked as she took in the shape of his face, the curve of his smile so much like Mark's. Her shoulders shook as she fought tears. Mark felt his own defenses waver. This was not the reckless girl who had run. This was a woman carrying regret like a stone in her chest. Later that night, after Tyler had gone to bed, Rachel stood near the door again. The same place where the evening had begun. "I don't expect anything," she said. "I don't expect you to let me back into your life. I just needed you to know I never stopped loving him. Or you." The words hung between them. Mark looked past her to the quiet suburban street. Porch lights glowed warmly in neighboring homes. Ordinary families living ordinary lives. He had built something steady out of chaos. Letting her back in could shake it. But shutting her out forever might one day leave Tyler with questions that had no answers. If you were standing there, holding the weight of betrayal in one hand and the possibility of healing in the other, which would you choose? Mark thought about Tyler at 15, at 25. Would he resent him for never giving his mother a chance? Or would he thank him for protecting him? "Not for me," Mark finally said, voice low. "For him. If we do this, it's slow. Honest. No disappearing." Rachel nodded quickly, tears falling freely now. "I won't run again." Rebuilding did not happen overnight. Rachel started with supervised visits at a park in Franklin. She learned Tyler's favorite ice cream flavor, his fear of thunderstorms, his obsession with dinosaurs. At first, he called her Miss Rachel. Months later, one afternoon while they painted birdhouses, he asked quietly why she had been gone so long. Rachel did not lie. She told him she had been scared and that she was sorry. Tyler listened with a seriousness that made Mark's chest ache. Children understand more than we think. What they crave most is honesty. There were setbacks. Nights when Mark lay awake wondering if he had made a mistake. Days when Rachel canceled because therapy sessions stirred old wounds. But she always called back. She always came again. One spring evening, nearly a year after that door first opened, Tyler fell asleep on the couch with his head resting on Rachel's shoulder. Mark stood in the doorway watching them, the soft hum of the television filling the room. Rachel looked up at him, eyes shining but steady. He saw it then, not perfection, not a fairy tale but effort. Growth. Redemption earned inch by inch. Sometimes life doesn't give you a clean slate. It gives you cracked pieces and asks whether you're brave enough to try fitting them back together. The night Rachel first whispered his name on that porch, Mark had felt frozen by shock. Now, as he gently lifted his sleeping son and carried him to bed, he felt something else, something warmer. Not the naive love of youth, but the quiet hope that second chances, handled carefully, can become something stronger than what was lost. Before this story ends, take a moment and tell me in the comments, if you were Mark, would you have opened the door to the past, or would you have let it stay closed? And if this story touched your heart, if it made you believe in forgiveness, in growth, in the fragile power of second chances, please like, share, and subscribe, but only if it truly moved you.